Deborah, look at how many cars there are rushing by right now, and I want to show you live exactly what the situation is. You can see I'm here at the crosswalk. It's a beautiful day out at local lakes right now, but more rain is expected this week, and that could force lake levels even higher. I'll explain who could feel that impact downstream. David, this report was put together by the American Public Transportation Association at the request of Go Triangle, and it is critical of Go Triangle. Now, what you're looking out on right here is where the light rail was supposed to stop over by DPAC. Not only is this house here on Chelsea Circle in danger of demolition, but across town, this one on Holloway Street is too. Preservation Durham says crews plan to demolish it this week. Deborah, I am inside one of those tents right now here at Duke Regional Hospital in North Durham, and I want to give you a look. This just went up within the past couple hours. So this is where patients will walk in and check in, and then if you come this way through these doors, this is the waiting room in here, and you will see inside here that all of these chairs are strategically placed 6 feet apart. Deborah, at 5 o'clock, I reported live that the show was planning to go on here at DPAC. Only a couple minutes after my live report, this sign here went up on the door, and I have had to break the news to a number of people who are now in this area eating dinner before the show. The Durham Housing Authority CEO says it works as quickly as possible to address issues like the carbon monoxide. He says McDougald is the oldest public housing community in the city, built in the 1950s, and it is showing its age. One of those ways, they thought about closing down Main Street here to car traffic, so that way they could have tables even out in the street and on the sidewalk and still be able to maintain that distance between customers. That's right, it happened right here yesterday evening during happy hour. The woman who used the racial slur told me today she will not apologize for her language, and in fact, she said she would use the same word again.
Just like everybody else.
This minute-long cell phone video shows an encounter between customers at the Bonefish Grill in North Hills.
This person had the audacity right here to come to our table and tell us that we are the rudest people that she has ever met. Look at her.
Then the woman, who we now know is Nancy Goodman, calls another customer the N-word.
You're too loud.
We're too loud.
In your opinion. Let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours. Right. Oh, you're so stupid.
We found Goodman at her home.
I'm a 71-year-old woman who lives in Raleigh. I suffer from tremendous anxiety.
She says that anxiety and the women's behavior pushed her to act as she did.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
She says she would use that word again to you all.
Wow. Wow. That's sad.
Shonda Stewart is the one who took the cell phone video. Her friend, Lakeisha Shaw, is the one who was called the racial slur.
I don't care how you feel like we should have been acting. If I was standing on the table with 3 heads in a purple jumpsuit, nothing justified you to come to my table and call me a stupid.
Goodman says she regrets not asking management to tell the women to be quiet, but she made one thing clear. So you're not sorry about saying the N-word?
No, no.
In a statement, Bonefish Grill tells us we do not tolerate hate speech or disrespect in our restaurants. They added that they are reviewing the incident to see how they can do better at de-escalating situations in the future.
So as we walk up into the tree line here.
Deep in the woods on the banks of a remote part of Falls Lake, a discovery that stunned environmental groups. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Nothing remotely close to this scale.
Underneath the leaves, the ground is saturated with trash. From traffic signs to baby seats to bottles.
But when you get up into this area, you can hardly move without the sound of crushing plastic underfoot.
Ian Pond with the Ellerby Creek Watershed Association believes the litter flows here from Ellerby Creek.
We've speculated for years, where does all the trash go that we don't capture? And this is it.
Volunteers have already started the process of cleaning up. These trash bags are an example of that, but they say the trash stretches for half a mile. There is so much work left to do. You are the person who found this.
Yeah, finding this trash.
Joe McClernand was on a run on the nearby Mountains to Sea trail when the trash caught his eye. He reached out to the nonprofit Keep Durham Beautiful.
I said something like, I have found a field of trash of epic proportions.
Do you want to wear them on the way back?
Tanya Dotlick is the group's executive director.
There's no way to know for sure how long the trash has been here, but we think it could have been accumulating for 10 or more years.
Between her group's volunteers and a troop of Cub Scouts that McClernand leads, they have compiled hundreds of bags of trash. And how do you remain hopeful when you come out here and you see these bags and bags of trash?
It drives you to go back and tackle the source of the problem.
Because unless people stop littering, these volunteers fear they will have work that never ends. Sarah Krueger, WRAL News, Durham County. Deborah, that nurse said the positive cases here highlight the dangers that they face, and they fear they do not have enough protection. The nurse at UNC Hospital in Chapel Hill feels like patient and medical worker safety are on the line. We have altered the voice to protect identity.
I think the leaders of UNC have failed the staff who are taking care of these patients at the bedside.
The nurse says nurses are required to reuse their surgical masks for 5 12-hour shifts.
When we leave for the day, we are to fold our masks in half and store it in a brown paper bag.
UNC acknowledges that masks are being reused, but says they are following CDC guidelines in doing so. The nurse has other concerns too, saying that UNC Hospital is still keeping 2 patients per room in some units.
So if your roommate is positive, then you risk exposing the other person who shares that room.
UNC Health confirms that is the case in the rehabilitation center for 9 beds, but says they have significant efforts in place to ensure coronavirus is not brought into that area. The nurse says when staff takes concerns to leadership, they do not get a response. A UNC Health spokesman says they want all of their employees to feel safe and protected. The nurse we talked to feels neither.
I think this is something that we need to learn from and make sure that it never happens again.
Jeff, that's right. I've just confirmed with Durham Police that there was a shooting here in downtown Durham. Let's take a look behind me at the scene. You can see this SUV here with the back window shattered out and a bullet hole in the back left side of that car. I've actually just spoken with the owner of that SUV. He tells me he was not inside of it when the shooting happened. He's an attorney and was in court this morning. He says he came out from court to get back into his SUV, saw all of this police tape around it, and just, as you would imagine, shocked to know that his car was caught in some crossfire. We are still working to learn more from Durham Police. You can see there are a number of officers here on the scene. So far, all they are able to tell me is that there was a shooting. They told me there are no reports of injuries at this point, and they are still working to piece together what exactly happened here. To give you an idea of just where this is again on Pettigrew Street. It is right across from DPAC, right in downtown Durham. I want to take you now to some Sky 5 video. We also have Sky 5 up because we understand there is another scene over on Duke Street. I'm working to determine if that scene is related to this shooting or not. I will stay out here and continue to ask questions of Durham Police, and will bring you any updates as soon as I get them. David, I'll admit, when I got here to CVS this morning, I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure if the nasal swab was going to be painful. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to come into contact with other people, but I am so happy to say that it was painless, it was easy, and it only took a few minutes. To start the process, I went to the NCDHHS website. I entered my address here to see the list of options closest to me. At Walgreens, I could get an appointment later this week, but at CVS, after noting that yes, I was prioritized by the health department, I was able to book a test for an hour later. So I'm at CVS on North Roxborough Street in Durham, and I'm about to get my COVID-19 test. I never had to leave my car. It was all drive-through.
Thank you for choosing CVS Pharmacy.
The pharmacist handed me a swab, and I did it myself as she gave me instructions. Then I dropped it in a box using a wipe CVS provided me to wipe down the box, and that was it. So I was a little nervous because I had heard that the swab could hurt, but I'm happy to say it was quick and it was painless. State leaders say everyone who has been at a protest should get a test. DHHS Secretary Dr. Mandy Cohen says the testing capacity is there to make that possible.
But right now we don't see any waits for getting testing or to process samples at the lab. So we feel like we have good capacity right now. There's over 400 sites on our website that folks can go and check out where they might be able to go get tested. And I should get my test results in 2 to 4 days. And I want to mention that when I was going through the process, when I was doing my research and trying to find a testing site, from what I noticed, it seemed like the clinics in the area and the hospitals, they did want you to have a doctor's order before you could make an appointment to get a COVID-19 test. But the pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens, they had looser restrictions. And Walgreens, it seemed to me, had the loosest restrictions. So if you are not able, if you don't qualify for a test here at CVS, you may qualify at Walgreens. David.
Sarah, very quickly, you've got 2 to 4 days to wait. Are you a little anxious?
I am. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty nervous. You know, thankfully, I feel really good. I don't have any symptoms or anything like that. This is totally a precaution and just following the state's guidance, but I will certainly be checking my phone constantly to see when those results will come in.
Being proactive. Sarah Krueger, live in Durham. Thank you.
Catherine, there was a long line of officials that came in here today to police headquarters. They meant to send a message that if you commit a crime here in Durham, you will be caught and you will be held accountable. Zion Person's grandmother hopes that is soon true for her grandson's killer as well. In Sandra Person's home, the date is frozen on August 19th.
I haven't touched it because, I don't know. I mean, I just keep looking at it and just remind me of Zion.
It's the day her grandson was shot and killed riding in an SUV in North Durham.
I have 13 grandkids, and 5 of them were in that car.
She has a message for city leaders.
Durham need to do something about this.
The police chief, the mayor, and many others say they are. They held a news conference at police headquarters.
Cannot accept the level of gun violence that exists in our society.
Overall, violent crime is up in Durham. The U.S. District Attorney for North Carolina says he is working with local officials to identify the most serious offenders and bring federal charges.
That your crime will find you out. And we will try our best to take you federal, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Officials say gangs are part of the problem and add a small number of people are responsible for much of the violence.
There are individuals that continue to wreak havoc on our community. I know some of them by first name.
Police don't know who is behind Person's death, but his grandmother hopes for an arrest soon.
Zion, we all love you. We're going to miss you so much. Your name, honey, is not going to go down in vain. Grandma going to fight for you, for your name to stay alive.
Some other things they're doing here, Chief Davis says they've added additional resources to the homicide unit. She also says they are working very closely with the sheriff's office to make sure that they have the entire city covered. And as far as Zion Person's grandma, she has a plan too. She says she wants to work with lawmakers to one day develop something called Zion's Law that will bring stricter punishment to those who kill children.